All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 3 of Hyper Battle. Ah, a ghost! And apparently I'm being haunted for this episode.
This is so much fun.
Man, it did not take long for you to come back.
No, it really didn't, did it?
So we're trying a new setup for the audio this time, so if it sounds weird again, forgive me, but I've had to Frankenstein 2 laptops together to get this to work.
He's having fun with this, ladies and gentlemen.
Rather than hear myself as an echo, I've got myself recording on one, and then I Skype called a backup account with Soul calling that one too, and it's all weird. But enough about the behind the scenes of Hyper Battle. Let's get into this month's topic: Kamen Rider Ghost.
Ooh.
A show me and Soul both really do like, but it has a bum rap in some places.
And I was reading another review, and I think I know why.
Okay.
Much like Kabuto, this had a slow burn start.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is that the first, I want to say, 12, maybe 15 episodes, were your basic dry and cut Monster of the Week episodes.
Yeah.
It wasn't building anything, really. It was getting introduced to the main characters, his side cast, some of the villains, and had a Monster of the Week and some new toy to sell, essentially.
Yeah, let's never forget that Kamen Rider primarily is a show for selling children's toys.
Mm-hmm.
Which, gotta make money somehow.
Yeah, it does kind of lead into that. There's no
getting around that. Yeah. And
now, just because it sells toys doesn't mean it can't be a good show.
No, exactly. And it can lead to some interesting ideas, especially if you need to reinvigorate the plot. Well, then just introducing a new toy can sometimes bolster ideas.
Especially if you have a good story behind the new character.
Or if it's the right kick in the butt for some writing staff. Because sometimes a good writing staff needs to be, kicked with some energy. But sometimes it can hurt a show when you know for a fact that in 4 weeks you've got to introduce this new MacGuffin.
Yeah, this might also be the problem with Fies.
For me, it was really one of the reasons why I really couldn't get into Drive.
Yeah, I think Fies just had this similar problem. It's
more of a problem with everything post Double. Because Double is the most, after Double, things got very formulaic with new form, show these forms for a month, 2 months maybe, mid transformation, like this is a mid hyper form, like this is a new power up, it's pretty damn good, it'll last for another 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, and then maybe introduce a new character, but right around the halfway to 3/4 the way done, they introduce the final power up for the main show,
or as some people call it, the victory button.
Yeah, and it's very formulaic. But at the same time, Ghost was a bit different about that. I found that the Ghost's victory button actually changed the status quo, like that review we'll talk. Me and Saul need to discuss this review later on. It was a really good review. I will recommend it.
I think it was also a very fair review.
Yeah, it was clearly written by someone who likes the show, but like us, will admit it's not good. It's not perfect. I mean, for me, this is like... the best way to describe it, I like to describe things I like with food because I'm... But if Double and O's were like you getting a wonderful milkshake on a really hot summer day, like this is a professional high-grade milkshake made by the fanciest milkshake shop in the world, Ghost is like getting an ice cream sandwich. It's good. It's not
I'd really say I enjoyed Ghost more than I did Gaim. See our Gaim review.
Yeah, we did Gaim review on Soul Show, Waste of Potential on plug, listen. But really do think Ghost and Gaim are in the same ballpark. They're both really enjoyable and have amazing ideas, but they fumbled with them a lot. But we should probably get into Kamen Rider Ghost's actual story.
Yeah, before we spend the entire time rambling about random shit.
Yeah. So Kamen Rider Ghost is about Takeru. Tenkuchi Takeru.
There's a mouthful for you.
On his 18th birthday, he's killed.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kamen Rider Ghost stars a ghost.
Who knew?
Who would have thought? And the reason why we say on his 18th birthday he was killed, every episode opens with, "Hi, I'm Tenkuchi Takeru. On my 18th birthday, I was killed."
Yeah, by the 15th, you kind of got this memorized.
Yeah. The only difference is, at the start of the show, he has 99 days to gather 12 magic MacGuffins to get one wish.
Don't bother trying to count the days, because it doesn't add up.
No, and not every episode is a day, not every episode is a week. Sometimes they're like, I think at one point it went from like 60 to like 30, and me and Sol were like, what? What happened to 30 days?
Were you all taking a nap?
Speaking of naps, that is a problem with Takeru. As he's a ghost, they flip-flop on how alive he is, in the lack of saying. Because near the end of the series, he's like, I can't sleep, I can't eat meals with my friends, I'm isolated by them because, I'm technically dead. But in the early episodes, he's eating with his friends. He takes a nap as a ghost. In fact, I think he gets haunted while he's napping. How do you haunt a ghost?
With that annoying little eyeball thing.
Yeah, and they flip-flop on how much ghostly powers he has outside his suit and inside his suit. There's one joke where he's using his powers of gravity he gets from a superpower to hold up a falling piece of the city, and he's underneath it. He's like, I'll be crushed if I drop it. And he's like, you're a ghost. You're already dead. All right. And he phases through it, and I laugh my ass off. But at the same time, they kind of forget that.
Yeah. I mean, if another ghost fights another ghost, I guess the intangible thing kind of goes bye-bye.
Yeah, that's
fighting on the same level of intangibility.
Yeah. I mean, it's like Pokemon. You can fight ghost types with ghost types.
I would hope so.
Although I never understood why normal type moves, why normal types are immune to ghost attacks in Pokemon. You'd think it would be super effective.
Yeah, you would, actually.
But, whatever. Takeru as a character is pretty likable. I don't actually have many problems with him as a character. A lot of people found him really bland, but he's a nice kid.
Well, again, I think that's the slow burn at the beginning of Ghost. He kind of has the one character trait.
Yeah.
And then
his character trait
is a little bit sooner than the 15th episode, but I kind of go like the 15th episode as kind of like a general rule.
Yeah.
It kind of builds itself up by like 6 or 7, I want to say.
Yeah. He's, like I said, a really good kid. He believes in himself. He has faith in himself. He's not really all that broken up about being dead. He's more freaked out, which totally understandable.
Yeah, not every day you die.
But he takes it in stride because he can use being dead to help people. And like I said, he's a good kid. He likes to help people. He's not like Peter Parker levels of need to help people over helping himself. But he several times will choose other people over himself.
And he's not...
He's not like Gary Stu either.
No, and he's not stupid about it either.
He's naive in places, which...
Well, naive and stupid are two different things.
Exactly. I mean,
They're written very similarly in a lot of situations.
Sadly, yes.
But naive is putting faith in something.
Yeah.
Stupid is not understanding the situation at all.
And he clearly understands the situation. He understands threats are threats. He just really thinks he can see the best in everybody. And in several cases, that actually comes true. And it's one of the few times where the power of friendship encounter does not feel beat over the head. It honestly feels like the friends he makes throughout the show are his friends.
Mm-hmm.
That they know for a fact that he would go to the ends of Earth for them, so obviously they're going to go to the ends of the Earth for him in return. It's really powerful at one point where he is, spoilers, deader, and all of his friends have a piece of his little MacGuffin that allows him to transform, or holding on to it, and they're still going to fight in honor of him. And this power is enough to bring him back, because this many people want him back, and I like to think that two of them are because these two have mystical powers themselves that they both started pulling him back. Because, another spoiler, he does deader, I think, 2 times a show.
At least.
Yeah, at least. And one time he gets pulled back by the ghost of his dad.
Mm-hmm.
And the second time he gets pulled back by his friends. They weren't even willing, they weren't like trying to, let's use our combined friendship to summon him. No, it's more like we got to stand up to the big guy even without Takaru.
You know what the funny thing is?
What?
The second time he was brought back, that clock didn't reset.
No, the clock did not reset. The first time he comes back, they reset the clock to 99 days again. Second time he comes back, he's more powerful. I guess he's a much more stable ghost. And we do get his ultimate transformation from that, which is one of the coolest, I think, in Kamen Rider.
And the sparkliest.
Some people call it the Glitter Ghost, or Glitter Force.
Very good reason.
And it has like a rainbow horn, and it looks fucking fabulous. But it also looks freaking badass, because of this nice white trench coat kind of thing, and the powers. Because he's now a ghost, he's in that state, he's also kind of an empath, so he can feel other people's emotions and use them against people. And like, he literally fights with love at one point by forcing his enemies to feel love. And because of what at the time, I think he's like fighting like ghostly supercomputers. They don't comprehend emotions, so it overloads and makes them explode.
And
at least that's
how
I interpreted it. Like, that may not be what they were going for, but it's what I felt like. And
one of the episodes I enjoyed was where Takaru tries to use his mid-max form, the one with all the ghost links to it.
Yep.
And instead of his wind button form, the sparkly fabulous form, he wants to use the other one because it involves all the ghosts and companions he's gotten along his journey.
What he's trying to collect are 12 icons. These are spirits of legendary people and a couple of fictional people condensed into little eyeballs that, when put into his belt, give him a coat based off their powers. Halfway through, he gets all 12 combined into one, and he can summon them to help him. So it actually makes sense for him to reuse this power-up every now and then, because A, sometimes being strong is good, but having more people to fight with you is better. Mm-hmm. And B, he has a relationship with these ghosts. He actually can talk to them. They help him out. They actually won't be able to become his jacket until he befriends them. And that's really touching to see him bring out his friends and save the day. And yeah, he's not exactly what I'd call the strongest lead of a show. He can be kind of a wet blanket at times.
Can't give that.
Really uninteresting. But at the same time, he's like that. There's usually like one guy in a group of friends who is that nice guy. The one everyone just goes, yeah, he's the nice guy of the group. He's the one who's got everybody back. That's Takaru.
Yep.
He's not like the charismatic leader. He's not the amazing bolsterous guy. He's not the funny one.
He's kind of the one that draws the group together.
Yeah.
But doesn't know what direction to take.
Yeah, he never felt like really the leader of his group. He was just de facto the leader. He really was the glue of his group. He was the heart.
Yeah.
So him getting emotion-based powers really fit his character.
Yeah, and I like how there's a difference between that. Like, there's a guy that can pull the party together, and then there's somebody else that can go, oh, we need to go this way.
Yeah, and that's totally fair. In fact, the second Kamen Rider, Makoto, Kamen Rider Spectre, he's really more of the one. People like to call him bland because he's more of a plot point than a character. Mm-hmm. And while he is the weakest of the three Kamen Riders, in my opinion, he is the one often driving the plot because he's the one with the "we've got to do this." But he's also the aloof one.
Yeah,
that's an odd combination. I don't think it really worked that well.
Yeah, he's also the more generic villain rider at the start.
Yeah, he starts off as a bad guy because he needs the 12 MacGuffins to wish back his dead sister, who is trapped in an icon herself. Not one that gives a suit, but just a little. He walks around with an eyeball in his pocket that can talk to him. And when you're trying to revive a founder, you are going to be a bit underhanded in places, which I was totally fine with.
Yeah, he never really felt. How do I put this?
He was never
out of place or
he was never out of place.
Touch with his character, I would say.
It's just his character after he saves his sister, which, spoiler, Takaru gets all 12 and decides, I'm not going to revive myself, I'm going to revive his sister. And then we all see this coming.
Yeah.
And we immediately see what Spectre's going to do after that. He's going to be like, my best friend gave up his only chance to revive himself to save my sister. Immediately, the heel turns and becomes a good guy.
Mm-hmm.
It makes sense, but at the same time, he's still not like the most personable member of the team.
I think the problem with that is that after spending all that time trying to undermine Takaru and revive his sister, the turnaround was a little too 180. There wasn't
there was a pause, and he did feel really awkward for a while, but it wasn't like...
I think that's the problem. It felt awkward. It didn't feel natural in a way.
Yeah.
I don't exactly know how that would have felt more natural.
Yeah, I think awkward is probably the best way to describe Makoto.
Yeah.
Because even, like, he gets his own spin-off movie, and that's just awkward. He's not a bad character.
No, the problem is that while awkward best describes it, I don't have a way to fix that in my head.
Neither do I. And awkward is just not really fun to watch.
I mean, he does have his moments, don't get us wrong.
We both think his upgrade, Deep Spectre, that's freaking sweet. He gets the super form very much like Takaru's, which we're not that crazy about. We don't hate it. But the Deep Spectre, which I freaking love the voice when it transforms, Deep Spectre. That just sounded so freaking cool. And he's got all these flame powers now, and he has flame armor.
And the color combination was fabulous.
Not as fabulous as Takaru's final form, the Mugen form, but Deep Spectre is still really freaking sweet. And I like they gave it some proper lore to it, and it made sense why it was able to keep up for a while, which was cool.
And he had his own little arc with a copy of himself. I forget how that went out.
It went out with the original dying, the copy giving his life. It's the copy part is actually what I think is the weakest part of the show. A lot of people say the beginning is slow. I'm fine with the beginning. I expect that from a Kamen Rider show. But the Makoto clone saga is almost as bad as the original. Not the original, the second Spider-Man clone saga, the one from the 90s.
Ugh.
It doesn't go to that level, but there are shades of it there. Like, I clearly think someone took the wrong lessons from that clone saga from Spider-Man. If you don't know that clone saga in Spider-Man, be grateful, because that is a train wreck to...
Very grateful.
I mean, I may like Ben Reilly a lot, but...
his backstory is not all that great.
And the stories around him is not that great. I just feel really sorry for him. But as for Makoto, it's really hard to... He is just there.
Like I said, there's nothing outright wrong with him.
No, he's just...
But to incorporate him better in the story, I don't have a solution.
He definitely needed to be... Going back to the food analogy, he definitely needed to be cooked a bit longer.
Yeah.
But we'll get to the third writer now, who... Soul, do you have any problems with this guy?
He wasn't introduced soon enough.
I think when we do have a single problem, he may have gotten a super form, but he lost with it.
Yeah.
We're gonna get to Prince Alan, Kamen Rider Necrom.
Oh, now the only slight problem I had at the start of this was his helmet.
It grew on me.
It grew on me, but at the same time, it's like this is his vision right here, a deep diver helmet.
It's basically like he's wearing a scuba diver mask over his regular helmet. It doesn't look that great, but when he has his hood up, he looks the most menacing.
Mm-hmm. It's just that I know there's probably some explanation how it really doesn't block his vision.
Yeah.
But all I can think of is, this is my vision field. I'm going to have a problem fighting things to my left or right.
Yeah, it's like wearing a box on your head. Try to look at the box. Okay. Alan starts off as also a bad guy.
The supposed main villain, actually.
Yeah, he basically starts off as the guy pulling the strings of both Makoto and the guy releasing the Monsters of the Week.
Mm-hmm. Who also had an interesting story, now that I think about it.
Yeah, but Alan is the advanced scout of a parallel universe filled with ghost-like people called Gammas.
Ooh.
Yeah, and he's here to judge Earth and see if it's worth coming to Earth and stealing Earth's resources, because his world is dying, in a sense.
Yeah.
His world is kind of dying, and everyone's already kind of dead. They're in suspended animation. Their bodies will never die, but their bodies are rotting away, and
it's confusing.
It's confusing, but Alan is the prince of this world.
Mm-hmm.
His dad is the king, and as king, he's keeping his world stable and his people alive. So Alan is doing the proper thing a son should, which is helping his dad and helping his people.
Right.
The downside is that means invading Earth.
Now, at first, he's fully on board with this.
Oh,
he has no qualms about stomping through this place.
He's a good son. Earth is kind of backwards. In his world, everyone works together. Earth...
Yeah, we kind of got issues about that.
Yeah, but at the same time, his world's also kind of...
bland.
Yeah, there's like no life to it. Sure, everyone's together, but they're not really living.
No.
They're in eternal sleep, in a sense.
Which, after some battles, some conversations, Alan gets introduced to the true heart of this show to turn him around.
The sweet old grandma.
Who makes octopus balls.
Takoyaki, they're called. Essentially what happens, Alan starts questioning his family because the only friend he's ever had his entire life is Makoto. Mm-hmm. Makoto was Takuru's friend. During an accident, Makoto and his sister were sent into the Gamma world. The Gamma world was starting to kill his sister. He befriended the royal family in order to get help from them. And this is all while he's like a little kid doing this. And he and Alan become sparring buddies, and it's the first person Alan's ever met who is not like, yes, your highness, yes, your majesty, yes, your majesty.
Isn't an ass kisser.
Yeah, and Makoto is strong-willed, and while he never beats Alan in fights, he is definitely Alan's most fun person to fight against. Because everyone else is either just going to lose the fight to him automatically, or is so well trained, Alan doesn't stand a chance. So obviously having a buddy around your skill level will make you improve.
Correct.
So when Makoto joins Takuru's side, Alan brainwashes him. Like, he forcibly brings him back to his side as a mindless slave to be his friend and to beat the crap out of Takuru. And Takuru is like, oh, I don't want to hurt my best friend. And Alan doesn't really understand that. Alan's like, no, you should try and take him back by force, because that's what we do. I was like, no, we're friends. Friends trust us.
And this snaps Makoto out of it. Makoto denies Alan.
Alan gets pissy. He goes home for a bit. He starts finding out that his older brother is also pining for the throne.
And it might be a little cuckoo.
Might be a little strong understatement.
Yeah, just a bit.
Just a bit, yeah. And
we also...
He ends up killing Alan's dad to take the throne, gets Alan thrown out of their world, and branded an enemy because, well, the older brother's now king.
Well, also put back into his body, which
he's not used to being mortal. Because while his body is asleep, he's able to astral project with a physical form. It's weird.
Yeah.
But now that he's mortal, he has to experience mortality for the first time in hundreds of years. I think. Like, he ages when he's I don't know. It's confusing. But either way, he gets sent to Earth with nowhere to go. And Makoto's sister, who is also his kind of friend, like she knew him, Big Brother likes this guy. She takes pity on him, helps him get food, and introduces him to the old grandma who runs a takoyaki shop. And Alan is obsessed with the octopus balls. At first, he's weirded out because he's so used to anything round and eyeball-sized to be someone's soul. So he's like, You eat eyeballs? No, Sidney, these are octopus balls. And I love the grandma because she never figures out that he's like a parallel space alien dude.
Well,
she just thinks everything.
First conjunction to anything.
Exactly. She never sees any of the weirdness. She just sees him, and he acts weird, and he wears slightly different outfits. But at the same time, she sees right away this hurt young man who's lost, confused, and all he needs is some love.
And a half sweater.
At first, she basically gives him a weird sweater that only covers one arm, and me and Sol freaking hated it. But then we found out that was her own scarf that she modified for him to have clothing, and we're like, oh, we no longer hate this.
Still think they're terrible fashion, but...
Yeah, it's still terrible fashion, but she's like, I think this lady only has the takoyaki shop. And maybe like a small place to live under. So she's giving him free food, giving him clothes, giving him life advice. She is so sweet. She looks like, I want to say, 80-something.
I think she gives the entire crew life advice. Like, she is like...
Everyone who comes to her shop, like, just... And then Ghost does the saddest thing ever. They have her die.
Yeah, it's heart-wrenching.
She sits down next to Alan because she's tired. She's like, I'm just going to rest here. So she rests her head on his shoulder. And he lets her. He's getting used to her. And all of a sudden, there's a monster run around. So he gets up to go fight the monster and runs off. And she's dead.
Yeah.
And he found out that she liked to paint in her youth. So after fighting the monster, he decides, I'm going to surprise her, and runs over with some art supplies and finds her dead.
Heart-wrenching.
And Alan is not used to the concept of death.
He's just getting used to mortality.
So he's just been introduced to the sweetest lady ever, and she dies on him. Like, literally dies on him. And I can distinctly remember Soul's reaction is he was very upset at the show at the end of that episode.
I was
like, oh, that's tragic. And I think you told me you want to put that in like your top 5 saddest deaths.
One of the top ones, yeah.
I mean, it is gut-wrenching. It's basically like Alan's life at that point is almost Peter Parker levels of misery and pain wherever he goes.
You know what the sadder thing is?
What?
The shoulder that he wears the half sweater on is the shoulder that she died on.
I did not realize that. Oh my God, that is some poetic sadness to him.
I just realized that myself.
Oh my God.
Ghost, take you deeper than you imagined.
But after her death, and he gets used to that, his badass walk into a fight while eating some takoyaki, slowly walking towards the monsters, and he's got his rigor back. He understands life. He understands what's worth fighting for now. Mm-hmm. How short and precious life is. He understands this because of her death. And
still never gets to super form yet.
And he just walks up into this fight, just munching away on takoyaki, and then he just beats the crap out of the monster, and you're just like, holy crap! He didn't. Maybe he didn't get a super form, but he got grandma powers.
Yeah. You know what else I loved about Alan?
What?
When he learned to use his
Oh yeah, the journey to the west forms. The journey. Basically one of the power ups he gets is the author to Journey of the West.
Mm-hmm.
And it lets him summon
Journey of the West, and then the 3 assistants: the monkey, the pig, and the water spirit.
I forget his name now.
I forget all. Sanzo,
yeah, that's it.
Yes.
And he learns martial arts from Sun Wukong.
And had to take a fall.
Yeah. He basically never really gets a real superpower until the V movie, where he gets the power of friendship burns around him so much he gets a super form, but then immediately loses in that form, so it's kind of
pointless.
I mean, it looks cool. It's basically his normal outfit with golden trims to it, with golden flames, and like, that's pretty sweet. But why did he get an epic cape form?
Because he doesn't need it. He's got that half sweater.
After a while, he basically becomes irrelevant in the plot in terms of power. But the thing is, even when he's like the weakest guy in the team, he gives 110%.
Mm-hmm.
He is efficiently. He basically is the best secondary rider ever.
I am not arguing that anywhere.
There are some that are more relevant in terms of fights. There are some that are probably cooler, but none have as much emotional growth, so much plot driven to them that doesn't feel like they're stealing the show.
Yeah,
he's the best. And while the final boss is his brother, he's also able to understand that, yeah, I can't fight my brother. I don't have the power to, but I'm going to give you a clear shot, Takaru.
Mm-hmm.
This is a fight that needs to end. It has nothing to do with me getting vengeance for Dad. It has nothing to do with me showing my brother who's right. It involves with us stopping this.
But I can't have that small satisfaction.
Yeah, he does take some satisfaction to it. And he ends up being the king of his universe because obviously if his brother's the final villain.
You know, we also mentioned that he also has a sister involved in all this.
Yeah, he has a sister, but I don't remember her doing much.
She was the voice of reason in the royal family at the start.
Yeah, and then their mutual brother kind of locks her up because she makes too much sense and he doesn't want to listen to her.
Mm-hmm.
But he won't kill her, which shows that he's a monster.
Yeah, even a monster has family, even if you won't listen to him.
Yeah, and the final boss is not really him. It's the powers he wanted to run amok, literally coming to life.
Yeah, I forget about that. Wasn't there like these 5 statues?
12 statues that balance his universe.
Mm-hmm.
And you might have noticed number 12, the icons were meant to counteract them, but they outpower the icons.
Yeah.
But we should probably get on to the other two most important characters.
Onari, because I love his ass.
Onari the monk. Takaru lives in a Shinto temple, and Onari is currently the head monk. Who basically he is kind of Takaru's big brother. He was a student of Takaru's dad, who was the previous head monk. And when he passed away, Onari became the kind of head monk and started helping take care of Takaru.
Who literally tries to push Takaru into being a monk.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and he's also the main comic relief. And he's actually funny. The thing about Kamen Rider comic relief characters, they're either hit or miss. And Onari is definitely 95% of the time a massive hit.
And while not as emotional as Granny, he was the heart for another character.
Yeah. One of the bad guys also ends up getting stuck in the human world and in a mortal body and slowly starving. And Onari, being a monk, does the right thing and feeds him. Even though 3 or 4 weeks ago he was trying to kill Takaru.
Yeah.
As a monk, he sees someone suffering. He must do the monkly thing. Be nice.
Now, don't get wrong. He's not dropping his guard around the guy.
No. He although he is overconfident he can beat the guy.
He's overconfident about a lot of things.
Onari is self-aware and yet also... Okay, Onari is aware of the world around him, but he's not very self-aware, which is kind of funny for a monk.
Yeah.
But the thing I like about him is that the few times he knows he's overwhelmed, that does not stop the guy from trying.
No, he's also sensible enough to know when to run.
Yeah, he does run every now and then. But the thing is, he doesn't, run coward. He runs, but helps people run with him. It's like, no, we're getting away from this.
Yeah, it's knowing when you are going to be overwhelmed, grabbing those that need your help, and getting the hell out of there.
And the second character, Akari, is Takaru's childhood friend, and she is the resident scientist who does not believe in any of this ghostly crap at first. After a while, she has to admit it is real, but she's always trying to find the scientific reason behind things. Which, that is a running character thing in a lot of shows that can get old really fast. I'll admit to that. But I felt she was handled pretty well.
Well, the other thing is that she's also half right about all of this.
Yeah, she is half right on a
And
lot of
that's the
things.
funny thing, I think, involved in that.
One of the back and forth running gags is her and Onari like, aha, science was the answer. This sucked. No, it was spirituality, my friend. But the thing is, while the two of them butt heads constantly, they respect each other. They just won't admit to it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Onari might admit that, but she's not going to anytime soon. And the thing is, as a secondary character, her inventions do end up helping every now and then. She makes devices to see ghosts, because for a while the ghosts are invisible. She tries to break down certain materials to help save the day. She is generally the person going, okay, perhaps if we try plan B, things will work out.
Wasn't she also one involved at the end trying to close the portals or something?
Yeah, she does help make a way of closing portals. She also makes a weapon to fight the ghosts. It kind of works, but it's really kind of a one-shot thing.
Mm-hmm.
But give her
remember in the movie, she was also trying to find a way to help the ghost world, which is what I call it.
She wanted to help them with science, because that's just her way. She wants to prove how powerful science can be, even to these spiritual things. And yeah, I give her credit for it. I like when they do things like that where the answer is not pure magical.
Mm-hmm.
But I also like when technology is not the be-all, end-all solution.
Not the Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah, there's no Deus Ex Machina or Shenron's wishing powers. Even though there is a wish in this show, it's kind of impractical and takes a while to end. It's just, like I said, impractical. So, yeah, that's what I liked about her. She was a balance to the show. And she also has her really funny moments.
God, now I'm going to have to try and find her name because I forget it.
Whose name?
The girls.
Akari?
That was it.
I can't say her last name. Tsukimura?
Tsukimura?
Akari Sukimura.
At least that's the closest I'm going to get to it.
That sounds right to me. And like I said, she even invents a way to fight the ghosts. Using like garage store parts. Like I remember like one of her things being like the hose off a vacuum as part of like the.
It looked like a leaf blower.
It looked like a leaf blower made out of random other parts that fires off sparkles.
That's actually a running theme of sparkles in the show.
Yeah. Glitter Force. Ghost Glitter Force.
Glitter Force used properly.
Yeah, and like I said, a lot of the characters do really work well together. Yeah. The real problem with the show is it meanders at times.
No, I think the real problem with the show was that goddamn ghost eyeball.
Yeah, she stopped showing up for a while, so I forget about her a lot.
Yeah, I was happy when she stopped showing up.
There is one other character who keeps showing up, and that's the old wise sage, who is old wise mentor who is quirky and weird and supposed to be all wise and mysterious, and when they explain him, it just makes me dislike him more. His name is Senin, as in like the legendary Senin, the wise ninjas. He's the one who makes the transformation belts, the one who helps make the icons, and he just shows up to give advice to Takaru, always in different costumes.
Wasn't he the one supposed to be originally from the...
Yeah, he's from the Gamma world.
Mm-hmm, that's what I thought.
And I just never really cared for him that much. He was the closest thing the show came to a Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't have any ill intent.
Yeah, by the end of it, he's no longer a Deus Ex Machina, and he actually is helping with science-y magic to help.
I think by then there was a small thing of him realizing that he really screwed up, and by going the way he is, he's not helping anything.
Yeah, I mean, he'll admit that he's wrong now, so I'll give him credit for that. But
I mean, at the start, he kind of feels like the helping villain is the best way I could put it.
He's really mysterious and weird and cloaked in shadows and doesn't tell you much. And
which I think is the problem, is that it just kept going on and on with that trend for too long.
Yeah. And when you find out who he is, you think, oh, he's going to be revealed to be the actual final boss. But then we find out more about him that he's not. And it's like, oh, you keep setting him up for things, and just the payoff's not great with him.
No,
that's it. The payoff is not good with him. Nothing else to say about that.
Yeah, that's pretty much where it falls flat and leaves it at that point.
Yeah. Now, there are actually a few behind-the-scene problems with Ghost, which nothing can be ever done to defend that. But at the same time Ghost was in production, an interesting Kamen Rider show was decided to be made at the same time for Amazon Japan. They revitalized a Kamen Rider from the 80s, Kamen Rider Amazon. Yeah. But yeah, Kamen Rider Amazons, that's the sequel show. And it's based off the original Amazon, but not really. It's basically.
I never saw the original Amazon, but I do like the new Amazons.
The original Amazon's magic-based.
Mm.
He's the first magical Kamen Rider. And he's actually from the Amazon jungle, hence where he gets the name from.
Makes sense.
We'll talk about Amazon's another Hyperbell, but this is a show me and Soul really like, and it's really freaking dark.
Yes.
But because these two shows were going at the exact
same time. But not DC dark. Don't get us wrong.
No. It's actually good dark.
Yes.
Because these two shows were going at the same time, and Kamen Rider shares a lot of production company studio stuff, they had to start taking staff and budget from Ghost, because they wanted Amazons to do well because it was aimed for adults and for a different market. And honestly, I think it was worth it, because while Ghost is good, giving Amazon that boost was probably what that show needed.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but even then, it never really felt like Ghost was getting the short end of the stick in times.
No, at several times, Ghost ended up having to delay ideas. Like they introduced a suit power-up, but then they couldn't use it for 2 or 3 episodes because, oh shit, we don't have the budget for this, or we don't have the stunt guy for this because he's over on Studio C, mauling a guy to death for Amazon. So yeah, it ended up causing a few snafus, but in places I think they wrote around that pretty smartly. I can't tell you when and where exactly this happened because productions of shows are kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And mostly because Kamen Rider is still being produced while it's being. A lot of shows will air a season when they've done shooting the entire season. Kamen Rider kind of starts airing when it's like 4 or 5 episodes in, I think.
Somewhere around there.
And that's different. And that's case by case, too. Some Kamen Rider shows are literally shot week to week and produced week to week.
Yeah. Sometimes having that buffer just kind of helps the show in the long run.
Yeah, that's a legit problem I have with Japanese media in general, is they like to rapid fire get it out and then immediately put it on air. Just look at the early drawings of Dragon Ball Super.
Yeah, that was a time thing. That wasn't anything.
But the thing is,
extravagant as a lot of people claim.
They wanted the show out as soon as it was done, without really taking the time to edit it.
Yeah,
and sure, that can lead to leaks and time delays and schedules being weird. But at the same time, you never really see those kind of major problems in most Western shows. They used to happen.
Mm-hmm. And they still do sometimes. Don't get us wrong.
But they're a lot less common now when you film the show, edit it, watch it a few times before you put it up.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Or you do the Netflix series thing where you produce the entire season and then upload the entire season when it's already done and all together.
Yeah, but like I said earlier in this show, I think the main problem with Ghost was the main one I had when we were watching Kabuto. Up to about episode 12, around 15, somewhere in that general area, the entire show is on a slow burn.
Yeah.
It starts it off simple enough. Like episode 1, maybe 2 and 3 draw you in.
Mm-hmm. But
after that, it's pretty generic.
A lot of people expected Ghost to be a lot darker than it was because it involves ghosts. It'll be a very dark and macabre show. But it ended up being the standard friendship one. But honestly, I think it was above and beyond the average friendship show.
It was the standard setup, but had a much better
payoff,
intrigue, and payoff.
Yep.
Now,
would you recommend Ghost to as someone's first Kamen Rider? See, that's a question I mull over. I wouldn't say.
See, when you, as previously stated, I don't remember if I said it in I think I probably said in both our podcast for Gaim and the previous
Hybrid Battle, yeah.
Hybrid Battle with O's.
No, we did double.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I did O's on my own, yeah.
My mistake.
No problem.
Is that there's a Kamen Rider for everybody.
Yeah, there is.
And depicting what to have someone start off with depends more on the person than the actual show itself.
Yeah. I would never say this is not a good one to start with. As much as me and you like Amazons, I would not make that someone's first Kamen Rider.
No, I would probably put that as like watch a second or third, depending on the person.
Ghost.
If someone's more into that kind of darker stuff, then I might.
Yeah, but at the same time, it doesn't.
No.
At the same time, it doesn't really picture Kamen in a good light, or what Kamen actually is.
No,
Ghost,
but at the same time, it does have the elements that a Kamen Rider needs.
Yeah, it does, and it did give some fresh blood, which Ghost can kind of at times did as well. I think gave a little bit of fresh blood.
I will say this though: there may be a market down the road for a darker Ghost Kamen Rider.
Yeah,
because the way it was introduced at first, that could still be a story set up somewhere else.
Exactly. I would like to see a lot of fan theories of what Ghost was going to be as an actual show. I'm not pissed off that this is the version we got, like some people were. Like, you know how sometimes your hype can make nothing will ever match your hype?
Yeah.
And I think that happened to Ghost for a lot of people.
Yeah, I can definitely see that being the issue. And honestly, just to answer that question, what I would recommend as the first Kamen Rider to introduce someone into, it probably would be double or O's.
Which are where I started and which is where I started you with. Mm-hmm. So is that because that's where we both started? We want to say double, or is that just because those two are really good places to start with?
I think it's a little bit of both. Because I think that's what drew us in, because it's a good place to start. It gives you the concept of what this is about.
Yep.
And once you get hooked in, you kind of start, someone can kind of say, well, I enjoyed it, but I prefer this one more, which you can enjoy the first Kamen Rider better than any of the others for all it really matters.
Yeah.
But it was something to start you off with, and then you can look into and see which one draws your attention more. I mean, I have 1,001 issues with Kamen Rider 5s, but to me, it's still one of my favorite ones for some reason.
Yeah.
Which I've got no explanation for at this point.
The same thing with Kamen Rider Wizard, which I'm going to do one of these days. It's one of my favorites, but I got so many problems with Wizard. I saw so much potential in Wizard, and I still see so much joy in Wizard. Ghost was just enjoyable, I think. There are problems with it. It could have been better, but I am quite pleased with the product we ended up getting.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Like I said, it was like an ice cream sandwich. I have never once in my entire life been mad at an ice cream sandwich.
But you can also be disappointed with that ice cream sandwich.
Yeah, it could have melted slightly.
Yeah.
Or you can be really happy because all of a sudden you bite into it and realize, oh my God, this one has chocolate chips inside. But if someone just gives you an ice cream sandwich on a hot summer day, you're going to be happy.
Yeah.
And that's Ghost. I was happy to watch it, and I will be happy to rewatch it. And again, we cannot stop gushing about how good Alan was.
Yeah, now that leads into our personal issue with the series. Not so much the production or the story or character development, but he really needed a super form.
He needed a super form. He needed his own movie. He needs a spin-off show.
He needed a movie involving Grandma.
Yeah, where he goes to hell to save her soul.
Yeah.
Because some evil monster saw how pure her soul was. And he wants to use...
Mine.
And while he's down there, he ends up, punching Spider-Man in the back of the head for settling his marriage. I know that's been undone, but it was not undone properly, in my opinion. No, there's a nice spin-off show for Alan going to hell and correcting the devil's misdeeds to people. Because
I'm sorry to put on Linkari again, but Linkari was right. The devil never got anything out of that deal.
Oh, it was stupid. We're both in the Spider-Man mood because we both recently played the Spider-Man game.
With varying opinions on that. Maybe we can talk about that sometime, but...
That would probably be a good one for your podcast.
Yeah.
Small micro review. I liked it. It's not as good as any of the Rocksteady Arkham games, in my opinion, including Arkham Knight, but it kicks the crap out of Arkham Origins. And it was definitely worth $80 Canadian.
Can we at least agree that the story was there?
That story is worth $80 on its own.
Look, just a small tangent. I like the Arkham series. It's not my go-to game, granted.
They're my jam.
But can we have a Batman game like Arkham Knight? But can we leave out Batman being drugged or poisoned for the entire game?
No, because Batman needs needs something to impair him so he doesn't just instantly win the game.
Yeah, but it's kind of a tired trope at this point.
Look, what you're describing is you want an Arkham game starring one of the Robins.
I can go with that.
I mean, I wouldn't argue that.
But just make the proper Ra's al Ghul the villain, so you don't need to.
Yeah. That is a legit problem I have with the Arkham games. Ra's al Ghul could have handled it, been the mastermind behind all three, and it would have been better for me. But that's just me not being a big Joker guy.
Yeah, that'll be a tangent for probably when we do Wasted Potential with the Dark Knight.
There's Wasted Potential with Batman?
You know what I meant, smartass.
Yeah, I know. Anything else you wanted to add about Kamen Rider Ghost before we get ready to sign off?
Here's the thing. How do I want to put this?
With words?
No, that'd probably be preferred method because I don't think we had developed telepathy on the internet yet. And when we do, good lord, what's going to be posted up there?
I don't need to see those Bowsette memes. Side tangent, we both freaking love Bowsette. We just wish she was named Beach.
Should have been called Beach.
It's Queen Beach. Stop calling her Princess Bowsette. That name double makes no sense to us. Not a queen, and she's not Toadette based. Now, if Toadette turned into Bowser, then Bowsette would be a fine name for her.
Yeah.
Bowser turning into Toadette, which is...
The thing about Ghost is... when it comes together, when the cast is not doing the Kamen Rider thing, the entire cast does feel natural. Yeah, it doesn't feel like they're all there just for the plot convenience.
Yeah, they could have easily done a slice of life show with these guys.
Yeah, and it would have felt natural, honestly.
It would have, yeah.
Like even
but at the same time, when they were in the suits, the choreography for the fights, magnifique. The problem was, pardon you.
Sorry about that.
The problem was trying to conjoin these two didn't always work.
No.
But
even the old Senin, who, despite his lack of payoff, never felt too shoved in, I guess would be the proper term for it.
He did at times for me, but that's the difference between our opinions.
I think that's what added to him, because he's trying to be trying to shove himself in a certain sense, like it's to his character.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
I'll give you that.
I mean, he could have been a lot more shoved in just for plot. There are times where it feels like he was just shoved in there, but sometimes it felt like that's the point. Yeah. He's inserting himself. He's forcing it in some cases. And the other thing is, I want to talk about the icons real quick, because we didn't mention those at all, really.
Well, they were kind of... Yeah, well, go
just
ahead,
a general basis, because some people might be hearing icons they're hero spirits, but that's all they're getting out of this. And I think that's a little bit of a disservice for this.
Fair enough.
Now, the icons are heroes, both fictional and non-fictional, based upon where they're from. Yeah.
These are also well-known names in Japanese culture, which is why the electric-based one is Edison, despite the fact it really should be Tesla in terms of heroic person with electricity.
In all fair opinion, I would think Tesla would have had more fun with how the powers were used, but that's opinion.
But that's the thing. Edison's a more household name in Japan, even though he really should be the icon for lawsuits. Forget where I heard that from, but I love that line.
I'm not going to do a historical debate because I don't know enough about history.
The cowboy one is Billy the Kid.
Mm-hmm. We got Robin Hood also.
Which is, I'm sorry, people, Robin Hood's fictional.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't know that. That's sad.
Musashi Miyamoto.
Yeah, he's a famous
swordsman.
There's a couple of Japanese ones, obviously.
We said Newton.
Tutankhamun.
Mm-hmm. Beethoven,
Houdini!
which was one of my fun ones just because of how it was.
By the way, because Houdini spent his time debunking supernatural, him becoming a ghost is a joke they make fun of. And I'm so happy.
That was.
It's like ghosts are real, but you're a ghost right now. Don't you backpack me?
There was Benkei.
He's a famous, I think, Japanese warrior monk.
Yeah, who was a lot about defense and
master of many weapons, and they actually did reference that why his ultimate attack being summoning so many weapons to help fight used at once.
There was also Goemon, the
legendary
fictional ninja thief.
Goemon, which I love because Goemon was a kabuki theater character in a lot of situations. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the stances are kabuki themed. So I freaking love that kind of like that's the kind of joke that if you know a little bit of history of the area, it makes the joke way better. But at the same time, it's a wacky kabuki thing. You may not get why he's doing it, but it's still kind of quirky and funny. So it's a joke that gets better the more you know.
It's one of those things that while people in the West may not get it because of the Eastern theme behind it, it's still kooky and fun to watch.
Yeah.
We also have Himiko, the princess.
Yeah, I don't know much about her personally.
Neither do I. I just know it was a female princess.
Oh, side tangent about the icons are all voiced by the same male actor.
Really?
Even her.
Damn.
Yep.
I did not pick up on that. I will be honest.
I did only when 4 or 5 icons are talking. I'm like, okay, you lost me. These voices sounds very similar. Oh, it's the same dude.
Well, kudos to him because he still did a good job emulating them differently.
Yeah, each had a distinctive voice, but if they started loudly talking back and forth, it got hard for me to follow. But that happens. I mean, that happens in a lot of shows.
Mm-hmm. And as we also mentioned, there was Sanzo from the Journey of the West.
There was Oda Nobunaga,
the warlord of the seventh realm of hell or heaven. I forget which way that goes.
Yeah, whatever. He's got a lot of titles.
Yeah.
There was also the Brothers Grimm.
Yeah, that was actually a pretty fun one with the writing on the book and everything.
Yeah, and book quill tendrils.
Yeah.
That is hard to explain, but they're freaking cool.
Now, this is one of the shows, I mentioned this in earlier podcasts, is that I like Kamen Riders with a simple suit design, but there are ones that have like so many forms, it's a little bit ridiculous.
Yeah.
This was the one that was kind of that right mixture.
Yeah.
The general suits are simple. They're what is called the transient suit.
Yeah, it's a single black suit, and then when you activate an icon, either the base one or any of the power ones, a jacket forms over with a hoodie.
And maybe some other accessories added on from the jacket.
Yeah, like obviously Beethoven would give more of gives like a piano, like tassels to it. Billy the Kid gives like a cowboy hat on top of the hood. Newton gives like apple-shaped orbs on the hands to control gravity with it. Yeah. Some don't have any sleeves at all.
And the thing I like about it is that they're all interchangeable. It doesn't matter which henshin device or which provider technically you are.
Alan could technically use Musashi, but he never does. Makoto could use Musashi. They all can swap and use them depending on what the situation is.
And while that is also an amazing thing for toys, because even the toys can do that.
Which is, I really wanted the baseline toys just to dress up with them, but I'm like, I don't have $200 to spend on all these. To be fair, they were actually pretty reasonably priced. You bought Takaru, you bought Alan, and you bought Makoto, and they each came with their base forms, and then you bought like a 2-pack of coats for them.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them came with their weapons.
Now, the thing is that they're swappable. There are multiple of them, but it didn't feel so overwhelming in certain ways that my one critique was what Double did. Yeah. That they were just kind of plug and play at that point.
Yeah.
And I think part of that was giving each icon its own little personality.
Yeah, they did have their own personality. They could have gotten more with them, but at the same time, the plug-and-play style for the icons really worked for a toy market, and it didn't feel too immersive. Now, some of the accessory parts did feel kind of annoying, like the seldom-used ghost ship that turns into an iguana.
I'm glad that wasn't overused, because that thing was annoying.
That thing was annoying, and it was the most toyetic thing on the entire show.
Yeah, that screech it made every time it was summoned. It was just...
I know. I won't emulate it now because I don't remember it that well, but I do remember it being annoying. Yeah. But yeah, if the sound of a pirate ghost ship that turns into an iguana sounds like a really stupid idea, it's a really toy idea.
Yeah. I will say this one, though. It wasn't the Mugen form. It was the one before that. I forget what it was called now.
Grateful?
Grateful, that was it. Thank you.
Because he was grateful for all 12 helping him.
Mm-hmm. It was this awesome thing. It was
heavily armored, and it was covered head to toe with the logos of all 12 icons.
And he could actually summon the spirit into a rider form kind of thing and have them help him fight. It was a very nice touch, I thought.
It was. And we didn't mention this, but when he transforms, he summons the jacket, and the jacket will actually defend him for 3 seconds before it floats onto him, and it's really cool. It's CGI'd as hell, but it floats so naturally. It's an example of how you blend CGI.
Yeah, it flows naturally, and because it's a ghost, that slight popping out of
reality and
is more excusable in a sense.
The odd movements, too. Like, if someone told me, these are deployable suits of armor I have invented, here's the question. But when they're ghosts and they're defying physics, you're like, oh, okay.
I think, honestly, Nostalgia Critic put it best when he was doing his review of the latest It, is that using CGI for something that's supposed to pop out and not feel natural is the best way to use it. That's
pretty much how I explain things for anime, when anime blends CGI and reality and 2D animation. If it's supposed to be jarring and otherworldly, go for it. If it's supposed to just be a mech that everyone just sees on the street, don't do that.
Yeah.
Also, it's okay if you do, like, in the background shots of an army of, like, 10,000 people. Yeah, don't make some guy draw those when you can just have a computer copy-paste them.
Yeah, there are places we'll excuse it. It's kind of...
Yeah.
I mean, my biggest problem with CGI was everything was in Berserk, but we'll get that in a far later episode on Wasted Potential.
Yeah, or we might do a final form about Berserk one day.
I will be breaking down the door because I have issues with that.
If we ever do final form Berserk, it'll definitely be the original Berserk anime.
Oh, thank God.
I mean, I actually really like that. I've never finished that, but we should probably call this an end because we're really getting way off topic.
Yeah.
So I've been Mitchell. That's been my buddy Soul.
How you doing, folks?
I don't know if I introduced him at the beginning, but his name will most likely be in the title of the episode, so he won't be that much of a shock. This has been Hyper Battle 3. I hope you've enjoyed yourselves and give Kamen Rider a chance. Oh, and one more thing. Next month, I think I'm going to go back to the West for a while. I'm leaning towards making it Morphin time.
Ha-ha!
Goodbye, everybody.
Good night.
This has been a Jedi Dropouts production.